的这个就是我们的杆位的车，111号的韩寒和他的搭档 Joseph 是拿下了杆位，将会从第1位发车。那我们关注 GTC 组别的比拼的时候，25号车组的 Damian 和他队友宋波呢，也是取得了 GTC 组别的最快的成绩。所以呢，究竟今天我们的车手们是怎样准备呢？让我们一起共同拭目以待。不过今天在现场呢，我们还有请到了一位嘉宾。不过稍等 ，Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome back to the 5th stop of the 2019 China GT Championship right here at Tianjin International Circuit. I'm Sophie Lee. As you can see behind me, cars are ready for 1 hour race for GT3 and GTC categories. And the car number 111, Han Han and Joseph took the pole position. They're going to start it from the front row of the grid. And car number 25, Dominic An and Song Bo took the fastest lap for GTC category. So cross finger for all the drivers. 那今天在现场呢，我们有请到的是金港股份的副总裁，同样呢也是 China GT 的负责人谢天先生。那谢天先生今天来到现场 as the responsible person for China GT this year， 那跟我们分享一下，因为其实天津国际赛车场也是我们在地上的一条新赛道了。那这条新赛道，你觉得基于今天早上 GTC 组别4组别比完之后，带来了怎样不一样的体验？以及我们的观众朋友接下来在比赛当中能看到怎样精彩的画面呢？
是，天津赛道是我们今年的尝试的一条新的赛道，本身赛道呢也比较有特点。大家也看到整个赛道是有2.4公里的是固定的赛车场，然后包括有一个1.5公里的左右的一个街道，它是属于一个街道加固定赛场组合起来的一个这样的一个2级的赛道。
那也非常感谢今天来到现场，我们也希望我们的车手能够在接下来 GT3 和 GTC 的比赛当中表现出色，好吗？ So Mr. Xie mentioned about actually this is a pretty new circuit which our audience can get because this is a circuit with a very complex situation with fixed circuit as well as some street circuit characteristics. So enjoy the race this afternoon. It's definitely going to bring you excitement for sure.再次感谢。那接下来的时间呢，我们通过一段视频，首先回顾一下在上一站第4站的秦皇岛站比赛当中 GT3 和 GTC 组别的一些精彩回放。Before all the excitement happened on the track, let's cross back to the 4th stop in Qinhuangdao, and we're going to enjoy some video clip that will show you the highlights from the GT3 and GTC categories. Enjoy.
Thank you, Sophie. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome along to Tianjin to the V1 Auto World Circuit for round 9 of the 2019 China GT Championship. Nice to hear from Mr. Xie there, the circuit owner or operator, talking about the characteristics of the track. 15 turns, 3.7 kilometers. And as we saw in this morning's GT4 race, plenty of action. Mr. Xie talked about how that it's a permanent circuit, but with street circuit characteristics, and there are some very high retaining walls, very unforgiving concrete barriers, and very little runoff in some areas. There's also plenty of long straights and lots of slow corners, and as we saw this morning in the GT4 race, plenty of opportunity for overtaking here at Tianjin. This afternoon, it's GT3, GTC and the One Make Trophy combined grid, 13 cars ready to take the start. Joe Osborne and Han Han, who did so well in their China GT debut last week at Qinhuangdao, finishing second and first over the two races. They're on pole position, and Sophie is down there with Han Han now.
好的，在我身旁是从杆位发车的111号的韩寒。韩寒从杆位发车，尤其这是半街道半正式赛道的一条场地。能跟我们分享一下，就是在准备的过程当中，这周末有哪些准备来为了今天的第一场正赛？
好，不好意思，我这有半死，所以喘不大过来。但是，这个赛道还挺有意思的，这是我第一次在天津的这个赛道比赛开始，特别的。 我们车队也做了很好的工作，这台赛车的调教，所以我跟我的队友就
能够明白，就是你说了，队友已经做了非常好的调教，也希望今天你的比赛成绩能够非常不错，一切顺利，好吗？谢谢哈哈。So Han mentioned about actually the whole team worked together to make this car in a perfect condition. So just good luck for car 111. 那接下来的时间呢，将我们的现场转交会解说间 cross back to you guys.
Well, that 111 McLaren made its China GT debut last time out at Qinhuangdao, and it could not really have gone much better. Han Han and Joe Osborne, both of whom making their China GT debuts as well, along with the car, finishing second and first, and on pole position today. So clearly a very good start to proceedings already for the McLaren. Han Han will be, well, as we saw in the car just then, he'll be doing the first stint, and he'll hand over to Joe Osborne. Han Han, a very interesting character, plenty of experience across a wide range of walks of life. He's been a rally driver, an author, a songwriter, singer, and he's also one of the most popular artists, or has the most popular page on the Chinese social network Weibo. So Han Han, a man of many talents, and he can add China GT winner to that list. Now, on the left-hand side is the number 91 BMW. That car is in second position of Finland's Jessie Krohn and Betty Chen. Betty Chen, who will be taking the first stint in today's race. Well, last time out at Qinhuangdao, and indeed the previous race weekend at Shanghai, they were both beset by torrential rain at various points over the weekend. No such problems here. It's a balmy 33 degrees at the moment, very hot, and those umbrellas that you see in the background are very much to keep the sun off. There is Betty Chen, waiting to take the wheel. She'll be doing the first part of this race in the number 91 FIS Team AAI BMW M6. It is very hot out there, and that screen that you see over the windscreen there, that's to try to keep some of the heat off the car and off the driver as well. Final preparations being made before Betty Chen steps in, along with all the other drivers who will start this GTC, GT3 and One Make Trophy combined grid. Let's have a look at the championship standings. Nick Yellerly out in front on 136. Then we have Jeffrey Lee on 128. Alessio Picariello in third place, 102. Eric Zhang and Adam Christodoulou not competing this weekend, but they're equal fourth on 100 points. Fifth is Lin Yu, a bit of a gap with 76 points. Joint sixth is Kevin Chen and Ivan Lee, also on the grid this weekend. And then Frank Yu and Jasmine Jafar in seventh place with 62 points. Those two drivers not competing this weekend. Into the GTC category, Zhou Huang with a bit of a lead, 136 points. His teammate Zhengwan Chang with 100 points. He didn't take part in the first round of the season, that's why he's lagging behind Zhou Huang, but there he is, second place. Joint third is Liu Kai and Lo Tse-ho. And then we have CJ Huang and Wang Tao, jointly on 90 points. Xiao Min and Dominic Ang next up. So, mechanics, well-wishers, engineers, all heading off the grid now. Very soon it'll just be the drivers and the cars for 1 hour of racing around this V1 Auto World Circuit in Tianjin. We're in North China at the moment. Tianjin, a very big city, around about an hour away from the capital Beijing, not too far at all. And as you can see, very warm, lots of bright sunshine, no danger of any rain this weekend. Confirmation then that Han Han and Joe Osborne on pole position, 1:35.9, the pole winning time. There is Han Han ready to take the first start of the race. Second on the grid, Betty Chen and the Finnish driver Jesse Krohn with a 1:36.0, just 1/10 of a second slower than the 111 McLaren. But the 91 FIS team BMW in second place. Third place on the grid, Jeffrey Lee and Alessio Picariello. Jeffrey Lee will be starting the race and then handing over to the Belgian Picariello for the second half of the race. 1:36.2 that car qualified in. Fourth place is Nick Yellerly and Lin Yu. Now, unlike the other drivers we've just mentioned, Nick Yellerly, the pro driver in that pairing, he's starting the race. So we might expect Nick Yellerly to make a very quick start up at the front there from fourth place. Fifth on the grid is Peter Liao, the sole driver of the number 2 D2 Racing Mercedes this afternoon. So he'll have no teammate, he'll do the whole race on his own. In sixth place is the second FIS Team AAI BMW, the number 92 car of Kevin Chen, and first Ivan Lee. Seventh on the grid and top of the GTC category is the Lamborghini 918 of Zhenwan Chang and Zhou Bi Huang, and it will be Zhou to start the race in the 918 Lamborghini. Next up, it's another Lamborghini. 4 of the 5 cars in the GTC category are Lamborghinis, and 8th on the grid and second in the category is the 75 car of CJ Huang and first Wang Tao, who went so well in the GT4 race this morning. Next up, it's the 66 Mercedes of Min Hung and Lin Nan. Lin Nan starting the race. And 10th on the grid, it's the 186 Lamborghini of Li Jiaqi and his teammate Xiao Min, who will be starting the race. In 11th place on the grid, it's the sole representative in the One Make Trophy category. That is the number 8 Porsche, driven by Wu Pei. And the drivers getting ready now, almost everybody off the grid, the 1 minute board being displayed there. And once that safety car, the Porsche that you see in the middle of the picture, starts pulling away, the safety car will lead the cars round on the formation lap. We'll have 1 formation lap, and then at the end of that, the safety car will pull off into the pit lane. The cars will form up 2 by 2. It's a rolling start, so they don't stop on the grid positions. Instead, they just go in 2 by 2 formation. The red lights will come on, and then when the race director is satisfied that everything is as it should be, the green lights will be on, and we will be racing for 1 hour around this V1 Auto World Circuit here at Tianjin. The car you see at the back there with the lights flashing, that's the medical car. Now that follows the drivers round on the first lap, just in case there is an accident or anything where a driver needs medical attention, then the medical car can arrive very quickly on the scene. You see the safety car pulling away now, and everybody filing away behind. It looks as if one of the Mercedes might be left on the grid. That looks like it could be the 66 car of Min Hung and Lin Nan, just left stranded on the right-hand side of the grid. We'll see if we can have a closer look at that, but anyway, everybody else seems to be away cleanly. Han Han leading the field away. Betty Chen in second place. Jeffrey Lee in third, and Nick Yellerly in fourth. Now watch out for Nick Yellerly, because he may very well make a very quick start up from fourth position. All the top 3 drivers are the amateur drivers in their driver pairing, and Nick Yellerly is the pro driver. So he's the one that does this for a living. Very successful driver he is in his own right. He's done Formula 1 testing for the Racing Point team and still contracted to that team. He also raced recently at the 10 Hours of Suzuka, where he qualified on pole position, but there were some problems with his car in the race and unfortunately wasn't able to finish quite as high. But anyway, Nick Yellerly a very experienced driver. There he is in 4th place. Peter Liao in 5th position. Next up, Ivan Lee in the 2nd, or the 3rd FIS Team AAI BMW. BMW's qualified 2nd, 4th and 6th for this event. And the 3rd one in 6th place is the one driven by Ivan Lee and Kevin Chen, the number 92 car. Next up, we've got the first of the GTC runners, Zhou Huang and Zhen Wangcheng in the 918 Lamborghini. There are 5 cars in the GTC category. The Extreme Motorsports Radical, the number 25 car, towards the back of your picture there, and the other 4 are all various iterations of the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo. So Lamborghini very well represented in the GTC category. Nick Yellerly and all the other drivers there, weaving from side to side, desperately trying to get some heat into those tyres. Looks as if the number 66 Mercedes has got away, so it did appear as if there was one car left stranded on the grid, but does look at first glance as if they're all away. And that's what we like to see. 13 cars on the grid, ready for 1 hour's racing. The safety car will peel off. We're coming to the end of the lap now. The safety car will peel off, and then we'll be going racing here. We had some very interesting racing this morning as the cars come round to the starting grid. Red lights on. And the red lights are still on. So the race director has decreed that the race is not ready to be started, perhaps unhappy with the formation that the drivers were lining up in. They're supposed to line up 2 by 2, but perhaps a few too many cars out of position for the race director's liking. So seems to be a bit of confusion in the pit lane at the moment. Normally we see the race underway, but you see the yellow flags waving there, and that means slow down and be ready to stop, usually in case of a hazard on track, but in this case simply that we haven't started the race yet because the red lights did not turn green. This does happen sometimes in China GT if the race director is not satisfied with the formation in which the drivers are running in. And this gives us a bit of an opportunity to see some of the characteristics of this track that Mr. Xie was talking to us about earlier. You see those retaining walls on each side, very reminiscent of a street circuit, but we are actually on a purpose-built track here in Tianjin at the V1 Auto World Circuit, and those high retaining walls making it very difficult to judge the braking point because you can't see the apex of the corner until very late on. So a very challenging proposition for the drivers. Look at how high the retaining walls are on both sides of the track, and certainly no margin for error here. And we saw a few thrills and spills in this morning's GT4 race. And let's hope for a good afternoon's race here in the GT3 and GTC category. Han weaving from side to side there, as is Betty Chen, as is everybody else, just desperately trying to get some heat into those tyres and those brakes. These are fully slick tyres, not like the treaded tyres that you'd have on your road car. These tyres are designed solely for the track and solely for dry weather as well, and they only operate at their best when they're nice and hot and sticky. And you don't want to go into a race with cold tyres, a bit like running a marathon without stretching beforehand. You're liable to spin off or end up in the wall. But anyway, we're coming to the end of the formation lap now. The cars going around 2 by 2 as they should be, and let's see if we go underway this time. Han on the right, Betty Chen on the left. As they come over the start-finish line, the red lights are on, and now we go green, and Nick Yellerly already making a good start, going to the middle. Han taking the lead, Nick Yellerly in second place, Jeffrey Lee in third, Peter Liao in fourth, Betty Chen running wide, losing several places there from second position, but as they go through the first couple of corners, Han in the lead, Nick Yellerly up into second place, Peter Liao up into third, Jeffrey Lee down to fourth, and then the 2 Lamborghinis in the GTC category well up there. Then 2 of the BMWs, hard to tell which is which at this stage of the race. There is the number 88 car of Jeffrey Lee. That car is in fourth position at the moment. Han Han still in the lead, but Nick Yellerly breathing down his neck. There's a long straight here, and I wonder if Nick Yellerly might have a chance to go for a pass. He's in the slipstream of Han Han at the moment, moving to the inside. Han Han still holding the line. Nick Yellerly not enough room to get by, but Han Han goes wide. Nick Yellerly's through. So Nick Yellerly down at the hairpin at turn 11, through into the lead. Well, we thought he might make an early start, an early run for it, and he has done indeed. Nick Yellerly in the BMW, the number 90 car, in the lead now, and he'll want to get as much of a gap as possible before he then hands over to his teammate Lin Yu for the second portion of the race. So Nick Yellerly in the lead, Han Han in second place, Peter Liao in third place. A little bit of a gap there before Jeffrey Lee in fourth position. So the front three, a little bit of daylight between them and Jeffrey Lee in fourth place as they come round to start lap 2. Nick Yellerly in the lead, Lin Yu second, Peter Liao third, Jeffrey Lee is in fourth place. In fifth place is the 918 Lamborghini of Joby Huang. So up from 7th position. Betty Chen down to 9th position, so not a good opening lap for Betty Chen. Ivan Lee and Kevin Chen. Ivan Lee driving that car at the moment, the number 92 BMW in 7th place. In 6th place is the 75 car, and that is the YC Racing Lamborghini. In 2nd place in the GTC category, there is Jeffrey Lee in 4th place. In 5th place, that is Joby Huang, leading the GTC cars. In 6th place is now Ivan Lee. So Ivan Lee up into 6th place, having got past the number 92 Lamborghini. There is Ivan Lee, just negotiating the tricky hairpin at turn 11. Very important to get a good entry and exit into turn 11, because there's another long straight before turn 12 that you see Jeffrey Lee going through now, and a lot of tarmac runoff at this V1 Auto World Circuit. Often tarmac is the best way of slowing down a car which is out of control, and the most efficient and safest way too. Still lots of barriers on either side at various points on the track, but at other points some lovely wide expanses, and we've seen some of the drivers already using a little bit of the road and more in this morning's GT4 race, as we look at Han Han, the second place man, ahead of Peter Liao in third position. Nick Yellerly still leading, Han Han in second place, Peter Liao in third position. 6.5 minutes gone, 53.5 minutes to go. When that clock ticks down to 35 minutes to go, so with 25 minutes having elapsed, the pit window opens, and then all the drivers will have to come in and make their mandatory pit stops. Those drivers where there is a driver pairing, two drivers driving the same car, that's when they make their driver change. For the likes of Peter Liao, for example, he doesn't have a partner this weekend, he's doing the whole race on his own, so he has to come in for his mandatory pit stop and sit on his marks for his allotted time. Each of these cars is given a time that they have to sit in the pit lane by, and that time is decreed by the relative driver grading. So a lot of these driver pairings are Pro-Am. So Nick Yellerly, your leader, is the pro driver in that driver pairing. He'll hand over to Lin Yu, the amateur driver. In second place, Han Han is the amateur driver, although he is very experienced, and he will be handing over to Joe Osborne, the pro driver. And they will have to stop on their marks for an agonising 77 seconds, Han Han and Joe Osborne. By contrast, some of the other driver pairings won't have to stop for as long. The likes of Ivan Lee and Kevin Chen in the 92 BMW, both of them are considered to be amateur drivers, and they will only have to stop for 55 seconds, so a full 22 seconds less than Han Han and Joe Osborne. And this is a tactic often used in GT racing, where you often get different classes of drivers and different abilities of drivers on the same grid. And this is a mechanism to cancel out the supposed discrepancy in ability between the different drivers on the grid. nice to see such a diversity of people on the China GT grid. People, professionals like the likes of Nick Yellerly, Joe Osborne, Jesse Krohn, and then the enthusiastic amateurs, the likes of Han Han, Betty Chen, Jeffrey Lee, and the rest. There is Jeffrey Lee holding his own in 4th place at the moment, before he hands over to Alessio Picariello, the pro driver from Belgium, with a lot of GT experience behind him. Still in the lead in the GTC category is the 918 Lamborghini of Zhou Huang. There it is, the number on there, slightly different coloured, as the 92 BMW of Ivan Lee, just having a little look behind there, getting very close. Ivan Lee having dispatched the 75 Lamborghini, and now in pursuit of the 918 Lamborghini. Ivan Lee in 6th position on the road, and going for a move up the inside here, and moving up into 5th place on the road. Zhou Huang not putting up too much of a fight. After all, they are in different categories, so there's no real sense in trying to hold Ivan Lee up too much. Zhou Huang best just to concentrate on his own race, still leading the GTC category, and that is where he will want to be in 50 minutes time when this race ends. But Ivan Lee, having now dispatched Zhou Huang, sits in 5th position, and he can set off in hot pursuit of Jeffrey Lee in 4th place in the 88 Mercedes. Nick Yellerly still in the lead, pulling out a lead at about 2 seconds a lap. His last lap a 1:37.8. Han Han in 2nd place at 1:39.5. That was his fastest lap of the race so far. Nick Yellerly's fastest lap at 1:37.4. So that last lap of his, some 0.4 of a second slower than his best lap, but nevertheless he's still going great guns. Look at the lead he has already, almost the whole of that back straight there, before we come to Han Han in 2nd place. 7.8 seconds, the gap you see there, and Han Han with Peter Liao in very close attendance, just 1 second behind in 3rd place. So 10 minutes of the race gone, just about 50 minutes still to go, and quite a gap developing there between Peter Liao in 3rd place and Jeffrey Lee there in 4th position. Peter Liao's last lap a 1:39.8, Jeffrey Lee's a 1:41.4, so Peter Liao took over 1.5 seconds out of Jeffrey Lee on that lap. The gap now between 3rd and 4th stands at 7.8 seconds. So Nick Yellerly now on to lap 7, Han Han and Peter Liao crossing the line as well to start their 7th lap. Han Han and Peter Liao just did their fastest laps of the race. Han Han a 1:39.5, Peter Liao a 1:39.7. But the gap still increasing to Nick Yellerly, now 9.3 seconds up the road in the lead. Han Han driving very well, given that that 111 McLaren has a 50-kilogram weight penalty for this race. This is the success ballast that is imposed on every car and every driver that finishes in the top 3 in the previous race. So in the most recent race at Qinhuangdao last month, Han Han and Joe Osborne won round 8, the last race, so they take 50 kilograms of success ballast. Alessio Picariello and Jeffrey Lee, they finished 2nd, so they take 35 kilograms of ballast. And the 3rd place car from that weekend, driven by Eric Zhang and Adam Christodoulou, not featuring this weekend, so nobody in the GT3 category has 25 kilograms of success ballast for 3rd place. But carrying an extra 50 kilos around is probably not an ideal way of spending your Saturday afternoon when you'd rather be racing at the front. So Han Han still driving very well to keep in 2nd place ahead of Peter Liao, who has no such ballast imposed on him. He's racing ballast free, had a bit of a tough time of it last time out in Qinhuangdao, Peter Liao. But it's going much better so far this weekend as we look at Jeffrey Lee starting lap 8 in 4th place. Ivan Lee just catching him rather nicely in 5th position. Ivan Lee made a couple of places already this race, and that gap now 1.6 seconds between Jeffrey Lee in 4th and Ivan Lee in 5th position, with almost 1 quarter of the race having elapsed. 3 quarters, 46.5 minutes still to go here at the V1 Auto World Circuit in Tianjin. Nick Yellerly still in the lead. Now just under 11 seconds ahead of Han in second place, who has a 2-second lead over Peter Liao. Jeffrey Lee, you see there in 4th place. This is the battle for 4th between Jeffrey Lee and Ivan Lee in the BMW. Ivan Lee just creeping inexorably closer. Their lap times on the last lap more or less identical, but Ivan Lee does seem a little closer than he was a few laps ago. We'll see what the gap is when they cross the line to start lap 9. Not too much in the way of incident at this stage of the race. We had a lot of drama in the first couple of laps of the GT4 race this morning. Unfortunately, a couple of cars made contact and had to retire. We've had no such shenanigans so far this afternoon. All 13 cars still running, and that's what we like to see. A nice full grid, lots of cars still running. And that is the number 8 Porsche in the One Make Trophy category, the sole car in that category this weekend. Haven't seen too much of Wu Pei so far, but there he is in 11th place overall. And there is the number 25 car, that is the Extreme Motorsports Radical, driven by Songbo. That car currently in 10th place in the GTC category, sitting in 3rd place. The only car in the GTC category that is not a Lamborghini. And let's go now to the pit lane and hear more from Sophie.
好的，因为刚刚的时间的原因呢，在我们的赛道参观环节呢，没有机会能够踩到25号车组的 Dominic。那其实 Dominic 他们是在 GTC 组别当时创下最快的时速，但是因为车况的原因换了一台车，从倒数第2位发车，是一个不是很好的发车位置。但是到目前为止已经回到了 GT3C 的第3位。能跟我们分享一下这条赛道你觉得最大的挑战是什么？
这个赛道呢，最大的挑战是它，因为它的天气是蛮热的，所以在我们的刹车皮、刹车片会太热的话，刹车呢距离会越远，那个就要小心哦。还有车胎的压力会太高，所以要小心一点。
那当就是今天宋波因为先跑第1棒嘛，你给了他什么样的一些建议呢？
因为昨天我们开25号车的是刹车有问题，所以我跟他说，如果刹车觉得刹车觉得不好了，早一点刹车，不要刹那么迟。
明白，非常感谢你接受我们的采访。So Dominic just mentioned about actually when they race on this circuit, what he finds the challenge is most important related to the braking pedal, because it's really hard to brake. You need to have a longer distance, and the car has problem yesterday. So Dominic just suggests his teammate Songbo, if there is something happen on the braking, you need to be very careful about this part. Thank you so much, and prospect your guys. 接下来转回到我们的解说间。
Yes, and while we were talking to Dominic Ang, you see there Jeffrey Lee, smoke pouring from the rear right of his car, and that is the 92 BMW of Ivan Lee. Now, Ivan Lee was catching Jeffrey Lee. They were battling for 4th place, and I wonder if they've had contact somewhere, because you see there that car seems to be pretty beached, and it just looks as if it's lilting to one side as well. Lots of smoke, tyre smoke coming from the back of Jeffrey Lee's car, so it looks as if some of the bodywork is rubbing on the tyre there. It looks as though the two of them may have made contact, and in fact you can see the front left wheel there on that BMW looks all askew, so it looks as if, yes, there we are. Yeah, the front left of the BMW just hitting the right rear of the Mercedes, and that BMW's race looks as if it's run. And the safety car has come out, as you would expect. The yellow flag's waving there. The safety car will be out so that the marshals can clear away that BMW. Does look as if there's an escape road very nearby, so hopefully we can be underway before too long, and it won't take the marshals too long to clear the danger. But you can see there the front left suspension very much deranged on that car, so that's it today for Ivan Lee and Kevin Chen, unfortunately. Jeffrey Lee we saw coming into the pits. There he is. Mechanics having a look at the right rear of that Mercedes. And we'll see if they can get things going again. This, unfortunately for Jeffrey Lee, this is outside of the pit window. The pit window doesn't open until 25 minutes into the race, and we're not yet 20 minutes into the race. So even if Jeffrey Lee does manage to get out again, he will still have to come in and make his mandatory pit stop and stop for 73 seconds. Ivan Lee there just trying to move his BMW, but I don't think he's going to get very far, because that front left suspension does look pretty knackered. But Jeffrey Lee at least managing to make his way back to the pit lane. Yes, you can see the wheel there completely off its rim, the front left wheel of Ivan Lee's BMW. And I don't think we'll be seeing that car in the race again this afternoon, unfortunately. But there we are, Jeffrey Lee, the tyre off there. Doesn't look at first glance as if there's too much damage. You can see a bit of a scrape on the bodywork, but they've taken all the wheels and tyres off, and obviously the car is too damaged to continue. So bitter disappointment for Jeffrey Lee, and indeed for Alessio Picariello, who consequently now won't be racing this afternoon. Ivan Lee, amazingly enough, has managed to get his car going again, but you can see for yourself the state of his front left suspension. I should think he'll just be driving around slowly to the pit lane and then to retire, because I don't see how they can possibly fix that in a hurry. The wheel completely at a horrible angle there, and his front suspension must be completely damaged, and that is not a quick fix, I'm afraid. So the safety car comes out, and this is bad news for Nick Yellerly, because that lead that he'd been so busy cultivating at the front is now completely wiped out. All the cars have to file behind the safety car in order, and Nick Yellerly now just ahead of Han Han and then Peter Liao. All of them will be line astern behind the safety car as we look at the 92 car of Ivan Lee. I'm fairly certain that Ivan Lee's mechanics are just going to turn that car around and put it in the garage. I don't think there's any way that they can possibly fix that. Well, bitter disappointment for Ivan Lee and Jeffrey Lee, and also for us spectators as well, because that was shaping up to be a very good battle. We didn't see exactly what happened, we just caught the aftermath of it, but obviously Jeffrey Lee went for a dive up the inside, and one way or another the two of them came together. So that's it for the 92 BMW of Ivan Lee and Kevin Chen, and let's hope that the mechanics can fix that in time for tomorrow's race, tomorrow afternoon, which will be round 10 of the 2019 China GT season. Round 9, of course, happening right now. There you see the safety car with its lights on. Nick Yellerly at the front, who must be cursing his luck, Nick Yellerly, because he pulled out a big lead over Han Han in second place, with the aim of then handing over to his teammate Lin Yu for the rest of the race. But I should think Lin Yu will find the rest of the race pretty tough going, because that lead has now been wiped out, and he'll have to contend with the likes of Joe Osborne, Jesse Krohn, who are the professional drivers in their respective driver pairings. So this safety car period, doubly bad news for BMW. Bad news firstly because the 92 car that you see there is out of the race and damaged, and also because the number 90 car of Nick Yellerly, which was going so well at the front of the field, now has its chances of winning the race significantly reduced. The safety car's lights are still on, but I should think we'll be coming back into the pits fairly shortly. It does appear as if all the damage is off the racetrack. We saw the two cars eventually make it back to the pits one way or the other, and there wasn't, I don't see too much damage. This is where they had their incident, this is where they came together, but I don't see too much in the way of any debris on the track. And indeed the safety car's lights have just gone off. The safety car will be coming in, and now Nick Yellerly bunching the pack up to give himself space for a good run out of the last corner. The pit window opens in 2 minutes' time. I should think Nick Yellerly will carry on in that car for some time after that. Oh, he's already got quite a lead. Even just, we haven't even started the next lap yet, And Nick Yellerly, as the flags go green, the lights go green, we go racing again. Nick Yellerly, I think, caught the rest of them on the hop a little bit there. Han in second place there, just putting a lap on the GTC Lamborghini. But 4.4 seconds already, so Nick Yellerly clearly trying to make up for all that time lost under the safety car and trying to build as big a gap as he possibly can. Remember, when the pit window opens, it'll be open for 10 minutes, so they don't have to come in immediately. They can come in at any point over the 10 minutes, and I should think Nick Yellerly will be staying out as long as he can to desperately try to claw back some of that gap between himself and the rest of the pack. So the pit window open in 1 minute time. Han in second place, Peter Liao still in third place. Those two been in close attendance for most of the race so far. In fourth place now is the 918 Lamborghini, there it is, and of course leading the GTC category as well. That is Joby Huang in that car at the moment. In fifth position is the 66 Mercedes. Well, the timing screen has that in fifth place, but the 66 Mercedes obviously now up into fourth place because Lin Nan has got ahead of Joby Huang, who is down in fifth. There is the number 91 BMW of Betty Chen. Now that safety car period will be good for Betty Chen and her teammate Jessie Krohn, because she'd fallen back quite a bit towards the start of the race, but obviously that gap neutralised a lot by the safety car that we've just had. The pit window will be open in just about, well, right now in fact. There you see confirmation that the pit window is now open, and I should think we'll start to see some of the cars coming in very shortly indeed. I wonder if we might see Betty Chen coming in right now, in fact. And, well, that was the Radical that we just saw peeling off into the pits. So Song Bo coming off to hand over to Dominic Ang, who we heard from earlier on in the race, talking to Sophie. Interesting to hear Dominic Ang talking about how tough this track is on brakes. There's a lot of, oh, and that's a spinner there. That is the Porsche, the number 8 of Wu Pei, the sole Porsche in the race, the sole driver in the One Make Trophy, and looks as if he's just lost the rear end. Well, locking up very badly there, his front tyres, and kissing the barrier at the back. There was a bit of damage. It looks as if he might be all right to continue. You can see for yourself just how damaged the back of that car is when he rear-ended the barrier there. But those barriers, not the hardest things in the world, some of them. The Tech Pro barriers, widely used in Formula 1 and some other racing series. It looks as if maybe Wu Pei lives to fight another day. There we see the 25 car in the pit lane, Dominic Ang now at the wheel. And so the Malaysian driver will take over for the remainder of this race. The pit window opened just before Song Bo came round to start another lap, so he was well placed just to peel off into the pits, as does Han now. So Han from second position, Peter Liao staying out there, just carrying on. Peter Liao now in second place. Han coming in for his mandatory stop. All 77 agonising seconds of it. There is Joe Osborne, ready to come in. And you see the, in addition to the helmets, you see the hands device that goes around the driver's shoulders. That is attached to the helmet, and that is to protect the driver's head and neck in the event of an accident or any other situation where they might find their head moving around or jolting suddenly. So it protects them against whiplash and other neck injuries. All the drivers you see wearing it, that's a mandatory device that was introduced towards the beginning of the last decade and is widely used in all forms of motorsport now. A bit of smoke there coming from the Lamborghini, the 75 car. I wonder what that is. That doesn't look as if it's too healthy. Perhaps a bit of overheating going on there. But anyway, the 75 car there. Wang Tao starting the race, and CJ Huang due to go in. You can see CJ Huang inside there, so he's obviously not too worried about the presence of all that smoke or steam or whatever it is. And well, maybe it's nothing untoward. CJ Huang looks as if he's pulling out, and that was one of the BMWs leaving the pit lane. Didn't quite see who that was. I should think that might have been the number 91 car of Betty Chen. passing over to Jesse Krohn. The 92 car of Ivan Lee obviously out of the race, and the number 90 car of Nick Yellerly sitting pretty at the front. I should think Nick Yellerly will be going fairly deep into this race, another 5 or 6 minutes or so, as Peter Liao now comes in for his mandatory stop. Now he'll just be sitting there for his allotted 68 seconds. He's got no co-driver, no teammate. He's doing this all on his own, pulling a double shift, so he just has to sit on his marks. Meanwhile, the two BMWs there running line astern. Nick Yellerly at the front there, Jesse Krohn just behind. Nick Yellerly 1 lap ahead of Jesse Krohn. And Dominic Ang just having a little bit of a moment there, but seemingly back in the race without too much in the way of incident. Nick Yellerly there, the two BMWs in team formation. Nick Yellerly and Jesse Krohn, the two professional drivers. I wonder if Nick Yellerly might be letting Jesse Krohn through. Yes, there he is. Not too much of a fight there. Nick Yellerly will be coming in for his pit stop in within the next 5 minutes. Jesse Krohn has the rest of the race to try to claw back some of that deficit. That car in 7th position at the last count, going very wide there. Jesse Krohn, the Finnish driver, and indeed one of the Lamborghinis in the background also taking a bit of a scenic route. But anyway, Jesse Krohn can really get the hammer down now. He's got a clear track ahead of him. There's not too much in the way of cars ahead of him. One there just kicking up a little bit of dust. Didn't quite see who that was. It may have been the 918 Lamborghini, which is the next car up on the road. Jesse Krohn still in 7th position. Remember, this is not a battle for position between these two. Jesse Krohn is 1 lap down, or, well, not 1 lap down anymore because he's just unlapped himself, but Nick Yellerly almost a full lap ahead, just consolidating his gap to the rest of the field. The timing screens are a little bit topsy-turvy at the moment because people are just coming in for their pit stops, and it usually takes a lap or two just to work out where everybody is. But one thing we do know is that Nick Yellerly is still in the lead. Peter Liao was in 2nd place before his pit stop, and we'll see if he's still there once he's come out. And that is the Radical. Now, we saw that car coming in beforehand with Dominic Ang coming in, and they've obviously decided that they're going to change tyres. Perhaps Dominic Ang flat-spotted those tyres when he had his little moment that we just caught the end of there when he was coming back, rejoining the track from the escape road. Perhaps he deciding that he just wants a fresh set of tyres for the remaining portion of this race. As we look at the race leader, Nick Yellerly, Jesse Krohn there in front, and Jesse Krohn has now overtaken the 918 Lamborghini. So Jesse Krohn up into 6th place overall on the road. And now his next target will be car number 186 of Li Jiaqi and Xiaomin, another one of the Lamborghini Huracans racing in the GTC category. Nick Yellerly still not coming in to the pits. Pit window closes in 3.5 minutes, so I wonder if he'll go in at the end of this lap or if he might be able to eke out another lap at the front. Incident involving cars number 88 and 92 at turn 13 under investigation. That was the accident between Ivan Lee and Jeffrey Lee that unfortunately meant both of those cars had to retire from the race. The stewards now having a look at that, and with both of those cars out of the race, if the stewards do decide to impose any sort of punishment or sanction, then it will have to be imposed in time for the next race tomorrow, which will be round 10. This, of course, round 9 of the 2019 China GT Championship, and the 5th stop on the calendar. Started out in Malaysia, then we went to Ningbo, then to Shanghai, then to Qinhuangdao, before moving on to Tianjin this weekend, and then for the season finale in Shanghai again next month. 2 races at every race weekend, so 12 rounds and 6 different race weekends over this 2019 China GT season. And nice for us to go to such a wide variety of tracks as well. This is the first year that the China GT Championship has ventured beyond China, with the opening round in Sepang in Malaysia, and a very impressive facility indeed that until recently hosted the Malaysian Grand Prix. as we look at the number 82 Lamborghini. And that is Shang Lei driving that car. Shang Lei, who started last on the grid. We haven't seen too much of him, and he's another driver pulling a double shift today, driving the whole race by himself. Jesse Krohn there, you saw on your screen, just set the new fastest lap of the race, a 1:37.3. Just about a tenth of a second quicker than Nick Yellerly's previous best, a 1:37.4. Nick Yellerly now is in the pits, I believe. We haven't seen it on the screen, but Nick Yellerly in the pits, and he'll be handing over to his partner Lin Yu for the second portion of the race, with 18 laps having been completed. Joe Osborne in second position now in the 111 McLaren, and in third place is the 66 car, now driven by Min Hung. Fourth place, there he is, Peter Liao in fourth position, but he has Jesse Krohn breathing down his neck, the Finnish driver now really with the bit between his teeth, just set the fastest lap of the race and closing hand over fist on Peter Liao. He took 4 seconds out of Peter Liao on that last lap, and he's right on the bumper of the number 2 Mercedes now, with 25 minutes of the race left to run. Peter Liao pulls to the left-hand side, Jesse Krohn goes to the inside, and that's a fairly easy pass for the Finnish driver, now up into fourth position. So Nick Yellerly having come into the pits, Lin Yu now leading the race. Another fastest lap there from Jesse Krohn, so he's really going great guns at the moment, a 1:37.3. Lin Yu, his teammate in the number 90 BMW, still leading the race though. Joe Osborne in second place, and Min Hung in third position. Peter Liao down to fifth because Jesse Krohn has just taken fourth place. There you see Jesse Krohn flashing his lights at Dominic Ang. Dominic Ang, who is now down in 10th position after that car made 2 pit stops, the scheduled pit stop and then another pit stop later just to change tyres after we saw Dominic Ang have a bit of a moment. Jesse Krohn flashing his lights. Is he going to get past here? No, not this time round. I should think it wouldn't be too long before the Finnish driver puts a lap on Dominic Ang. There he goes, up the inside. That's not for position because Dominic Ang is a lap down, and both of them taking the scenic route, going very wide there. And Jesse Krohn in fourth place now has Min Hung in his sights. There is Min Hung. Jesse Krohn really going very quickly at this stage of the race. He's obviously happy with the handling and the balance of his car, and he's showing us just what he can do. This is his first time driving a China GT car in dry conditions, because last time out in Qinhuangdao was very wet indeed. And Joe Osborne there, right up with Lin Yu now. This is the battle for the lead. And there is something very inexorable about the way that Joe Osborne is catching Lin Yu and climbing all over the back of the number 90 BMW. Very tight corner there, but I should think he'll get him at turn 11, the hairpin. Lin Yu going to the inside, going defensive. No room there for Joe Osborne just yet, but Lin Yu runs wide, and Joe Osborne, Lin Yu runs very wide in fact, but he manages to keep it out of the barriers. Joe Osborne up into the lead, and Lin Yu now demoted to second position. So Joe Osborne and Han Han starting as they left off last week or last month in Qinhuangdao, winning the race there, round 8, and here at round 9 already in the lead with 22.5 minutes left to go. Lin Yu down into second place. Min Hung at the last count was in third place, but we saw Jesse Krohn catching him very quickly indeed. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Finnish driver has made it by. And that should pave the way for a very exciting finish. There is Jesse Krohn behind his teammate Lin Yu. So Jesse Krohn just 1.1 seconds behind Lin Yu. I should think Jesse Krohn will overtake Lin Yu within the next couple of corners. He's catching him. He took, well, 8 seconds out of him on that previous lap. And if the BMWs want to win this afternoon, it appears that their best hope of doing that is with Jesse Krohn. So Lin Yu would be well advised to pull over and let his teammate through. There he goes. And Jesse Krohn can now set off in hot pursuit of Joe Osborne in the lead. Jesse Krohn now in second position. 21 minutes of the race still to go. Jesse Krohn's last lap, 2 seconds a lap faster than Joe Osborne. Remember, Joe Osborne in the 111 McLaren carrying 50 kilograms of success ballast. Jesse Krohn carrying no such ballast at all. The number 91 car didn't have the happiest time of things last time out in Qinhuangdao, but going much better here in Tianjin this weekend. The gap, well, we'll see what the gap is between first and second when they go over the start-finish line, but we've had 2/3 of the race, 1/3 of the race still to go. And Jesse Krohn has got the bit between his teeth and is hunting down Joe Osborne. There you see, there is Joe Osborne. Jesse Krohn hunting him down. 2 seconds a lap faster on the last lap, and when they cross the line, let's see what the gap is now. I should think it will be considerably less, because Jesse Krohn is really eating into that gap now. Here we see it again, 4.2 seconds. And Jesse Krohn's last lap, a 1:37.3. Joe Osborne, a 1:38.8. So perhaps that weight penalty really starting to affect Joe Osborne in the McLaren. Struggling to keep pace with the sort of lap times that Jesse Krohn is putting in. The Finnish driver's fastest lap, a 1:37.1. Joe Osborne's a 1:38.1. So it certainly does appear as if Krohn is the fastest man on the track at the moment. But of course, catching is one thing, and passing is another thing entirely. And let's go down to the pit lane now and hear who Sophie's talking to.
身旁的91号车子 Nick Yellow 他搭档林宇呢，现在正在场上进行征战啊。So Nick, we see the Triple One is really fierce on the track, and today because you're leading the championship right now, and did you take a more conservative way to start the whole race, or you just want to push as hard as you can?
Yeah, just went as hard as I can as usual. Yeah, too early to think about the championship. We've still got tomorrow's race and 2 more races, so yeah, for me, it was go as fast as I can, try and build a big gap. Unfortunately, the safety car cost us a little bit. Otherwise, I think we could have grown a bigger gap and maybe had a chance to win the race. But at the moment, we're in 3rd place. I think our championship contenders out the race. So yeah, we just have to bring it home and extend our points lead, really.
Thanks a lot, Nick. OK， 那尼克呢？刚刚跟我们大家分享了一下，其实他这个部分呢，因为有安全车存在，所以他尽力的去给他的搭档林宇是拉开一点点差距。在安全车结束之后，那到目前为止呢，因为韩寒呢已经顺利超过了91号车组，现在正在领先比赛，所以我们也希望看一下接下来的不到10分钟的比赛当中将会有怎样激烈的对决场面呢？接下来时间将我们现场转交回解时间 ，Cross Picture guys。
Well, Nick Yellow pointing out there that his main rival for the championship, Jeffrey Lee, is out of the race. So while he might have been a little bit disappointed with that safety car and the timing of it, his teammate Lin Yu, nevertheless, still in 3rd place. And so that car, the number 90 car, still on course for some good points this afternoon. Meanwhile, BMW's best hope for a win this afternoon is with Jesse Krohn in the number 91 car. There he is, in the BMW there, hunting down Joe Osborne in the McLaren. Took half a second out of Joe Osborne the previous lap, so not quite as much as previously. But there is, and that is Min Hung going up the inside of Lin Yu. So that is for position. Min Hung now in 3rd place. Lin Yu down to 4th. But let's see, and well, Lin Yu back up into 3rd place. I wonder if Min Hung had a bit of a bad exit there, or if he just let Lin Yu back in, but then Lin Yu himself runs a little bit wide. This is going very much back and forth. Min Hung has the inside line, but Lin Yu can't attack this time. Min Hung into 3rd place, Lin Yu down to 4th, and Peter Liao now climbing all over the back of the BMW in 5th place. So Peter Liao Lin Yu kicking up a bit of dust on the outside there. Peter Liao getting the slipstream and going up the inside into turn 1. Peter Liao goes up the inside and takes 4th place. So Peter Liao up to 4th place, Lin Yu now down to 5th. So in the space of a few corners, Lin Yu from 3rd to 5th position. And up at the front, still Joe Osborne in the lead, with Jesse Krohn behind him in 2nd place. And Joe Osborne's last lap, a 1:39.5, a little bit slower. Jesse Krohn, a 1:38.1, and the gap now just 2.3 seconds between those two. As we look at Min Hung, who is in 3rd position. There are your two leaders. 16 minutes of the race left. Can Jesse Krohn overhaul Joe Osborne and score his first win in China GT? Joe Osborne valiantly fighting that car at the front, but of course he's got the 50-kilogram success ballast as Jesse Krohn goes very wide on the exit there. We've seen quite a few drivers taking that line. Lots of runoff here at various points of the track, and paradoxically, other points of the track, no runoff at all, and very unforgiving concrete barriers. As Jesse Krohn, and there's a problem there for Jesse Krohn. He looked as if he was going very slowly, and it looks as if there's a problem with the left rear, perhaps the tyre rubbing against the bodywork there. Oh, bitter disappointment for Jesse Krohn. I wonder if that was a legacy of having just run wide there. We saw him run wide, and you can see the tyre smoke pouring off the back of the BMW. Now let's have a look at what's happening here. The car goes up on the jacks. Mechanics getting ready, they've got a tyre out. So, well, we didn't see what happened there. It certainly didn't look as if Jesse Krohn had hit anything. But nevertheless, just went very slowly through that last series of corners, and then all of a sudden tyre smoke pouring from the left rear of the car. You can see the mechanics there frantically trying to change that tyre. A couple of rounds ago, earlier on in the season, in Ningbo, we had some cars had problems with riding up on the curbs and causing punctures. I wonder if something similar happened there, but anyway, Jesse Krohn is underway again, but that has really ruined his chance of victory, because he was catching Joe Osborne hand over fist, taking 1.5 seconds out of the British driver on that last lap alone. But now it seems as if the best he could hope for is 2nd place. We'll see just exactly where that car has filed out, where it is in relation to everybody else, as we look at the number 90 car of Lin Yu in 5th position. That is the other BMW, so it's really not been a great day for BMW so far. Ivan Lee had to retire after contact early in the race. Jesse Krohn has just had that problem, which meant he had to come into the pits. And the other BMW of Lin Yu down in 5th place. So none of the 3 BMWs having a great race so far. One man who is having a good race is this man, Joe Osborne, in the orange and black McLaren, now leading the race by a handsome margin from Min Hung in the 66 Mercedes. And let's go back down to the pit lane and hear more from Sophie.
好的，身旁186号车组的肖明，那请问一下肖明，其实今天天津站比赛，你应该就是备战的经验并不是非常的充足，应该算是第一次在这儿比吧？
对的，是的，这边是第一次。
那就是第一次在这里，尤其是从练习赛到排位赛到正赛，你觉得自己有没有进步，以及你觉得最大的挑战这条赛道车手带来怎样的难度？
第一天到这个赛道的时候，还是非常的害怕的，觉得这个街道，特别是街道的那一部分路面挺滑的，就很容易就是说会蹭墙啊什么之类的，这个，所以说基本上不敢怎么动。后来经过练习呢，稍微有点好一点。
那今天的到目前为止，你自己的这个部分的表现，你觉得是怎样的？
今天呢，我们基本上就是还是比较保守，开的比较稳一点所以现在就是还一直在场上比较正常的发挥吧。
好的，非常感谢小明，那也希望你的搭档李佳琦能发挥出色，好吗？ So Xiaoming just mentioned about actually the track is pretty slippery, so they took a very conservative approach to finish the whole game. So far so good, keep the 3rd place, and good luck for car number 186 and cross back to your guys. 接下来转回到我们的解释间。
Yes, Xiaomin handing over to his teammate Li Jiaqi in the 186 Lamborghini. There is Li Jiaqi. That car still in third place in the GTC category. So still going and in the hunt for some useful points here this afternoon at Tianjin. 11.5 minutes to go, and Joe Osborne up at the front can afford to relax a little bit now, because that man Jesse Krohn was catching him very quickly indeed, but then there was a problem with his left rear tyre. Huge plumes of smoke pouring off the tyre. He had to come in for a pit stop, and he's now trying to make up for lost time. 7th place on the road, Jesse Krohn, with 11 minutes to go. Let's see how many places he can make up. And in many ways it was lucky for Jesse Krohn that he just seemed to have that problem towards the end of the lap. I thought he was going very slowly through the last couple of corners, and then we saw all of a sudden all that smoke. And he's very lucky that that didn't happen towards the beginning of the lap, and then he would have had to have crawled around the rest of the lap before coming into the pits. So misfortune indeed for Jesse Krohn, but it could have been a lot worse, and he's now up into 6th position onto lap 27 now. So Jesse Krohn will be looking to make up for lost time. Joe Osborne, his last lap of 1:39.8. Looks as if he's just relaxing a little bit now. He can afford to just wind things down a bit and just bring that car home now. He's some 20 seconds ahead of Min Hung in 2nd place, who himself has had a very good race. It's been quite an attritional race so far. Several cars retiring and a few with problems, and Min Hung has managed to hang on and now finds himself in 2nd position. So from 9th on the grid, Min Hung and Lin Nan, that is a very good achievement indeed, if he can hold on to that. Peter Liao in 3rd place. Min Hung some 18 seconds behind Joe Osborne, and then Peter Liao 3.8 seconds further down the road. And then another 19 seconds before we get to Lin Yu, now in 4th position, with just under 10 minutes of the race to run. And Joe Osborne can afford to stroke it home from here. That McLaren made its China GT debut last time out in the pouring rain at Qinhuangdao, finishing with a 2nd and a 1st. Also Han Han and Joe Osborne making their China GT debuts last weekend, so it was a very happy series of beginnings last weekend in Qinhuangdao for the winning team McLaren. That is the name of the team, the winning team, confusingly, although they may very well end up being the actual winning team in round 9 this weekend as well. So the 50 kilograms of success ballast that Joe Osborne and Han Han have had to lug around with them in that car this race, it looks very likely at the moment as if they'll be doing exactly the same thing in tomorrow's round 10, because it does appear as if they're on their way to a fairly comfortable win at the moment. Jesse Krohn trying to make up for lost time in 6th position, just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:37.1. So he's the fastest man on track at the moment by some 2.5 seconds per lap. And catching, you can see hand over fist, the 918 Lamborghini. That is the leading car in the GTC category, driven by Zhen Wancheng. I should think in the next couple of corners, Jesse Krohn will find himself up into 5th position. They are, after all, racing in different categories, so there's no real comparison between these two cars. Jesse Krohn flashes his lights, moves over to the left-hand side. And let's see if he makes it by. Yes, there he is, up into 5th position. And his next target is Lin Yu in the 2nd of 3 BMWs in the race. Obviously, Ivan Lee and Kevin Chen having to retire early on after contact with Jeffrey Lee. So Lin Yu currently in 4th position, as Jesse Krohn just puts a lap on the Porsche there, who I think was taken a bit by surprise. I don't think he saw Jesse Krohn coming, or he wasn't expecting him to overtake there. But anyway, no harm done, no contact made. And Wu Pei in the Porsche, the sole Porsche in the race, in the sole competitor in the One Make Trophy category, still circulating in 10th place on the road. Jesse Krohn in 5th place now. Lin Yu in 4th. Peter Liao in 3rd position. In 2nd place, Min Han, and Joe Osborne still leading the race. Joe Osborne's last lap, a 1:40.5. So it does appear as if he's no longer really pushing. He's some 3 seconds a lap slower than Jesse Krohn on that last lap. He very much is still pushing. As they come down to the hairpin at turn 11. Saw a lot of action there in this morning's GT4 race, and a couple of cars coming a cropper there, but no such problems in this afternoon's GT3 and GTC race, thankfully. We have had a bit of an attritional race and a few cars suffering problems and coming into contact, but nothing at turn 11, which is surprising really, because that in many ways is probably the best overtaking spot on the circuit. It comes right after a very long straight, so plenty of time to get good drive off the previous corner and then brake hard for a lunge up the inside of turn 11. And then of course, if you don't make it past someone into turn 11, you can go for the quick exit out of turn 11, because there's another very long straight after that, and then before braking hard down to the right-hander at turn 12. So plenty of overtaking opportunities here at the V1 Auto World Circuit in Tianjin. Dominic Ang told us earlier in the race just how tricky this track is on brakes. When you've got lots of long straights and then lots of sharp corners immediately after that, that does put a lot of strain on the brakes, because they'll be slowing the car down from a much higher speed several times per lap. As we see Jesse Krohn now with Lin Yu very much in his sights. Lin Yu setting a 1:42.6. That's his best lap of the race so far. But Jesse Krohn still catching him at a rate of over 4 seconds per lap. 1:38.2 at the last count. And as he crosses the line, that lap a 1:37.3. So 4 minutes to go. Jesse Krohn catching Lin Yu at a rate of about 4 or 5 seconds per lap. So at this current rate, he should be able to catch and pass and at least salvage 4th place. But Peter Liao in 3rd place is a long way up the road, some 25 seconds further up the road. I think a podium place might be too much for Jesse Krohn and Betty Chen this afternoon. But there he is, the Finnish driver, catching Lin Yu, who I don't think will put up too much of a fight. He knows that his teammate is much faster than him, and I should think it'll be all over very shortly indeed as they come down. This is the long straight, approaching turn 11. And a little bit of weaving under braking there from Jesse Krohn. It is very difficult to stop those cars. We've seen a few people weaving under braking there, and a little bit of contact early on in the GT4 race earlier today. And Jesse Krohn is and he's going very slowly there, Jesse Krohn. It does appear as if he's touring. So I wonder if Jesse Krohn, if that problem he had earlier on is coming back to haunt him again, because you can see how much bigger the gap is now. Well, it looks as if he's going somewhat at racing speed there, but a few corners ago he was going very slowly. I wonder if there was some sort of issue, but he's not come into the pits. That last lap a 1:43.3, so some 4 seconds, 5 seconds a lap slower than he had been going on the previous laps. So either he's had some sort of problem, or his team have told him to hold position behind Lin Yu in order to help Nick Yellerly's championship chances, because Jesse Krohn and Betty Chen not really in the championship hunt at the moment. And of course the 4th place that Lin Yu is going to finish in, if things stay as they are, Nick Yellerly will also get those points for 4th as well. So perhaps BMW employing a little bit of team orders here to ensure that Nick Yellerly scores the maximum available points this weekend. Perhaps they've told Jesse Krohn to hold position behind Lin Yu, because at the current rate it seemed very obvious that Jesse Krohn was going to overtake Lin Yu. But as things stand, Lin Yu still in 4th, Jesse Krohn still 5th, with just 2 minutes of the race to go. And Joe Osborne really just stroking at home now, holding that gap at 20 seconds to Min Hung. And Peter Liao a further 3.3 seconds down the road. You get a nice view of the driver's arms looking through the cockpit of that McLaren. That McLaren has been a very successful addition to the China GT Championship so far, making its first appearance last time out in Qinhuangdao, finishing 2nd and 1st, and on its way surely now to another victory here today at round 9 in Tianjin. Just over a minute left, and I should think we'll be seeing the last lap board very soon. And Joe Osborne has a lot of experience driving with McLaren. He's a McLaren factory driver, plenty of experience driving in GT racing in the UK and overseas. And nice to see several professional drivers from far away coming here to China to compete in the China GT Championship. The likes of Nick Yellerly, Joe Osborne, Alessio Picariello and Jesse Krohn, all helping to increase the profile and prestige of the China GT Championship. There it is, there's the last lap board. So Joe Osborne now on his victory lap as he comes to put another lap on the number 8 Porsche of Wu Pei, still circulating in 10th position on the road, flashing his lights. He doesn't want to be Wu Pei to be turning into him as he nearly did a few laps ago, but there we are, no harm done, easily done this time round. The last thing Joe Osborne wants on what is his final lap is to be taken out or have a backmarker run into him unknowingly. He'll just want a nice clear track ahead of him now so that he can take that car home and take his 2nd win in 3 races in the China GT season this year. This is the hairpin at turn 11, kicking up a little bit of dust as he enters the long straight, this longest straight on the circuit, the V1 Auto World Circuit here in Tianjin, before hard braking for the right-hander at turn 12, and then another long straight. A good power circuit this, before he comes through to the right-hander at turn 13. That is where we saw earlier on in the race the coming together between Jeffrey Lee and Ivan Lee that unfortunately resulted in those 2 cars having to retire from the race. No such problems for Joseph Osborne, however, as he negotiates the final corner and takes the checkered flag to win round 9 of the 2019 China GT Championship here at Tianjin. So, a consummate victory there for Joe Osborne. A lot more comfortable than it might have been if Jesse Krohn hadn't had that problem that required an extra pit stop. Min Hung coming and crossing the line in 2nd place, and Peter Liao in 3rd position. So McLaren 1st, Mercedes 2nd, Mercedes 3rd. Those are your top 3 cars. And he hasn't crossed the line yet, but it does appear as if there is the 186 Lamborghini. That is in 4th place in the GTC category, and that is Li Jiaqi driving that car. We haven't seen him crossing the line yet, but Zheng Wancheng in the number 98 Lamborghini, there he is, and he takes victory in the GTC category. Lin Yu finishes 4th, and Jesse Krohn does indeed finish 5th. So I should think that was as the result of team orders from the BMW, the FIS Team AAI team, to ensure or to help protect Nick Yellerly's championship lead. Obviously, when we spoke to Nick Yellerly earlier, he made the point that his main rival for the championship, Jeffrey Lee, is no longer in the race because he was taken out in that collision earlier on with Ivan Lee. So Nick Yellerly, despite only finishing 4th, along with Lin Yu, after that safety car really was not beneficial for them early in the race, Nick Yellerly still extends his championship lead. which he will be hoping to consolidate tomorrow in round 10. And we'll come back to the V1 Auto World Circuit as Joe Osborne enjoying himself on his victory lap. Dominic Ang in the background there in the 25 car managed to salvage third place in the GTC category after having to make an unscheduled pit stop and changing his front tyres. Also had a little bit of a moment running wide, so been quite an eventful race for the number 25 Extreme Motorsports Radical. As Joe Osborne flashing his lights, obviously enjoying himself, waving to the crowd. Clearly enjoying himself in China GT so far, had a great deal of success. This is second win in just 3 outings, and the race he didn't win, he came second, so it could hardly have gone much better for Joe Osborne, for Han Han, and for the winning team McLaren. And that new McLaren 720S, which made its debut only last time out at Qinhuangdao. There is Min Hang coming out after his second place finish. A very fine drive after that 66 car began the race in 9th place on the grid. So Min Hang and Lin Man, his teammate, making up 7 places on their way to a very fine second place and some useful points there. There's Han Han congratulating Joe Osborne. The two of them becoming quite a formidable duo in the 2019 China GT Championship. I'm sure they'd only wish that they could have joined the championship a bit sooner, because they'd probably be a lot higher in the table than they currently are. But anyway, clearly making up for lost time. That is the winner of the GTC category, Zheng Wangcheng, and his teammate Zhou Bi Huang. That car finished in 6th position on the road. And that will be very good indeed for their championship hopes. Both those drivers in 1st and 2nd in the GTC category, and this is only going to extend their championship lead. That is Zheng Wangcheng stepping out of the car. Well, he doesn't look too happy, but I'm sure he is. And let's go down and hear from some of the drivers now. Well, we'll be hearing from them very shortly indeed with Sophie. Just waiting for everybody to get themselves organised and get themselves ready. You see the cars in Parc Fermé there at the top of the pit lane. Towards the near side of the camera there, you see the numbers 91 and 90. That's the pit box for the FIS Team AAI. There we are, the cars all in Parc Fermé. The 66 car of Min Hang and Lin Nan, that very strikingly coloured Mercedes. And let's go down now and hear more with Sophie.
好的，之后在我身旁的111号车左2位车手哈哈以及 Joseph 是获得了 GT3 组别第1回合正赛冠军 ，Congratulations！ 先从哈哈开始吧，因为今天你先发车，自己经过了就是来跟我们分享一下你这个部分的完成情况。
这个是我第一次用这种发车方式来发车，第一次还带队失败了啊，有点不大好意思。但是第2次就发得很顺利，我也很好的这个守住了位置，当然后面的车很快，我为了不耽误自己做这个单元时间，把后面的这个车放了过去，然后我自己保持着一个很好的节奏，赛车的情况也很好。那然后把车交给了我的队友 Joe 以后，他也是非常好的这个拿到我们的位置，所以感谢车队和技师的努力啊，队友这么出色的发挥。
谢谢哈哈。So Joseph, Han gave you a really good compliment, especially the performance you did to help him how to maintain it. From pole to win, and also on this track condition, how's your feeling right now?
Yeah, amazing, super happy. And obviously Han thanks me, but really he did the hard work once again. So such an honour to share with Han. The winning team are doing a great job running the car, and then McLaren also for providing the car. Maybe from the outside, the race looked easier than it was for my position. We had Crone catching, and we decided not to change tyres in the pits, so that maybe made us a little bit slower. But then when Crone had to come into the pit lane, we had some more breathing space, and it was all about bringing the car home, not worrying about the lap times, and just having some fun out here in China.
Thank you so much once again. Congratulations for both of you. 再次祝贺两位。You can move to the podium awarding ceremony. 那刚刚呢 ，Joseph 也跟大家再次分享了一下，其实今天的整体过程呢，就是因为战术的确定方面有很多的变数，所以呢，他们也是经过了协商。虽然在换人换乘这个环节没有换胎，但是呢，依旧是虽然速度没有那么快，但是保持住了一个稳定的节奏，让 Joseph 拿到车之后能够顺利超到第1名的位置。所以也希望就是我们的观众朋友们能够一直继续来收看我们的直播，因为稍后呢，我们还会为大家带来是 GTC 组别的采访。So cross back to your guys for more information.
Yes, a very fine win for Joe Osborne and Han Han. They're clearly developing a very nice partnership. They clearly complement each other very well in the car. Han Han, the amateur driver, but of course a very fast amateur driver. He's had plenty of experience in rallying. And Joe Osborne, a professional, a McLaren factory driver, plenty of experience in GT racing and with McLaren. Interesting to hear that, well, Joe Osborne implied that not changing tyres in the pit lane maybe made them a little bit slower. That car was stationary for 77 seconds, so you'd think perhaps there might be ample time to change tyres if they so wished. And I wonder if in tomorrow's race, in round 10, we might see a few more drivers doing that. Confirmation of the final results then. Joe Osborne and Han Han winning the race. Min Hang and Lin Nan in second position. In third place, Peter Liao. In fourth place, Nick Yellerly and Lin Yu. Fifth, Jesse Crone and Betty Chen. Those were the top 5 in the GT3. In the GTC category, the 918 car of Joby Huang and Zhen Wang Cheng winning the race. Then Wang Tao and CJ Huang in the 75 car, Dominic Ang and Song Bo in the 25 car, and then the 186 car of Xiaomin and Li Jiaqi. 10th place, the number 8 car of Wu Pei, and then 11th, the 82 car of Shang Lei, and the 2 cars not classified, the 88 car of Alessio Picariello and Jeffrey Lee, and the 92 BMW of Ivan Lee and Kevin Chen, after that unfortunate moment early on in the race. Well, the car's being pushed out now onto the start-finish straight, and that's where the podium ceremony will be held, unusually here at the Tianjin circuit. We don't usually see the podium actually on the track, but there we are. Nice to be very much close to the action and for the fans to get a close look at the drivers. There you see the 25 car of Dominic Ang and Song Bo just being wheeled into position there. We'll be heading to the podium ceremony very shortly. Well, thankfully, not too much in the way of drama and accident in terms of damage to the cars. We saw a bit more in the GT4 race this morning, but apart from the incident between Jeffrey Lee and Ivan Lee early on, that was about all we had. And let's now have a look at the best of the action from Tianjin here this afternoon.
同样的，要祝贺在我身旁的918号车则2位车手，周碧煌以及郑婉成呢是获得了我们的 GTC 组别的冠军。先从周碧煌开始吧，因为其实期待你们来到冠军的宝座呢已经很久了，但是并不常见。那今天的这一场胜利对于你来说有什么样重要的意义呢？因为毕竟有可能是你第一次来天津赛场来比赛，对吗？
这个赛道我们之前都没有跑过，然后那个官方练习的时候我们车又坏了，所以我们比他们少很多练习的时间，然后我们只能通过排位赛来熟悉赛道。然后今天发车也比较顺利。一发车就到了很多 GT3 的中间，然后跟着他们跑，就比较顺利的把那个第一的位置交给队友。
非常感谢周碧煌。So 周碧煌 mentioned about actually because their car broken during the practice session, so all their experiences got through the qualifying session, and also today the start is pretty good, and so.The champion is definitely in their pocket for sure. 那再问一下郑婉成，那郑婉成，其实今天你是跑第几棒？第2棒的环节。第2棒环节，其实我们这个车况有很多的不同的变数。一开始可能就周碧煌这个部分有安全车，但你这个部分呢，肯定前有追兵，也是后有这个对手。那能跟我们分享一下你这个部分的完成情况，以及你觉得今天对于你来说最难的一个部分是哪里？
因为我昨天才到这边，而且这个赛道我之前也没来过，所以那个昨天没有练习上，所以难度就是对陌生的赛道直接跑正赛。但是我昨天排位还是练了7圈，但7圈肯定是有点少的，直接在正赛中不敢全力去驾驶，因为这个街道赛嘛，万一有点小的失误就可能造成比较大的结果。但是呢，我们出站以后，我的队友从第一的位置带回给我，然后我的后面好像也没有比较明显的这个同组别的车辆在追击我，所以我跑得也比较放松，并没有遇到什么太大的问题，然后比较顺利的从第一带回。这场我们的车况比较好，因为前几站都有一点小故障，这场可能车队及时找到问题并且解决了，然后现在驾驶起来状态非常顺手啊，所以说跑起来也是非常就是稳定的。
好的，非常感谢郑婉成啊！我看到其实郑婉成跟我们俩状态有点像，就是基本都汗流浃背了。这周碧煌呢，其实非常淡定啊。So actually, 郑婉成 is mentioned about actually he just arrived yesterday, so he didn't have lots of time to experience the track. But today, because his teammate keep a very good position, turned the car into his hand, which let him has enough space and time to keep the position till the end. 好的，那接下来时间呢，就将我们的现场转交回解说间，稍后呢将会我们的颁奖仪式 Cross Factor Guys. Later on, we're going to have the podium awarding ceremony.
Well, always interesting to hear from the drivers after the race, because sometimes you get insight that you didn't know beforehand, and certainly Zheng Wancheng and Zhou Bihuang have had a very good season so far, and it looked as if it was plain sailing for them again today, winning by 15 seconds in the GTC category. But clearly having a little bit of trouble missing all of the practice running and not having had a great deal of time to prepare at all. So that makes their victory here even sweeter, I should think. And it does indeed appear as if Zheng Wancheng and Zhou Bihuang are set fair for the GTC Championship at the moment. They're both leading fairly convincingly. Zhou Bihuang out in the front with 136 points before today's race. Zheng Wancheng, his teammate, with 100 points. And only in second place by virtue of the fact that he didn't compete in the first round at Malaysia. Nice to see everybody enjoying themselves there. Han and Joe Osborne. And the rest of the mechanics and engineers there. And it's been a very satisfying afternoon indeed for everybody involved with the 111 McLaren. Peter Liao there in his yellow suit. He finished in third place, so I should think he'll be pretty happy with his afternoon's work. And Lin Nan and Min Hung finishing in second place. There they are, standing behind their board on their car. And I don't know whether they would have expected to be finishing quite so high, having started 9th on the grid, but obviously problems for Jesse Krohn, having to make that extra pit stop, and an unfortunate moment for Jeffrey Lee and Ivan Lee when they took each other out. So a race of some degree of attrition, up at the front of the field, and Lin Nan and Ming Hung made their way through the traffic very well and very effectively indeed to finish in a very fine second place. And that is their highest finish of the China GT season to date. Nick Yellerly and Joe Osborne just comparing notes. Nick Yellerly finishing in 4th place after being stymied by that early safety car. But I don't think he'll be too disappointed, because he will have managed to have extended his championship lead, because his nearest rival, Jeffrey Lee, obviously taken out early on in the race and no points today. So Nick Yellerly still leading the 2019 China GT Championship in the GT3 category. I should think he's also quite glad that Joe Osborne and Han Han, didn't join the championship earlier, because they certainly been going great guns in the last 3 races. They managed to win today's race with 50 kilograms of success ballast, and they're going to have another 50 kilograms of success ballast in tomorrow's round 10. So let's see if they can make it 2 wins from 2 in Tianjin this weekend. But you can be sure that they'll face a tough fight from the likes of Nick Yellerly and Lin Yu in the number 90 car, and Jessie Crone and Betty Chen in the 91 car. With those 2 cars not finishing in the top 3, they will not have any success ballast imposed on them for the next race, so they'll be nice and light. And I'm sure the FIS Team AAI BMW team will want to make up for what was ultimately probably a bit of a disappointing race for them this afternoon. 3 cars starting the race and none of them finishing in the top 3. Everybody there ready for the podium ceremony, and we'll be getting underway with that fairly shortly. But just to recap, Joe Osborne and Han Han winning the race. Min Hung and Lin Nan in 2nd position, and Peter Liao in 3rd place. Nick Yellerly and Lin Yu finishing 4th, Jessie Crone and Betty Chen finishing 5th. Then we came to the first of the GTC runners in 6th place on the road, and 1st in the GTC category, Zheng Wancheng and Zhou Bi Huang. 7th place, the 75 car of CJ Huang and Wang Tao. In 8th place, Dominic Ang and Song Bo. In 9th position, the 186 car of Li Jiaqi and Xiao Min. 10th position, the sole Porsche in the race, Wu Pei, in the One Make Trophy category. Then 11th place, bringing up the rear, Shang Lei in the number 82 Lamborghini. The only 2 cars not finishing the race, the 88 car of Alessio Picariello and Jeffrey Lee, and the 92 car of Ivan Lee and Kevin Chen. It's also worth noting that tomorrow's race will be reversed, and let's go to the podium ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of the GT3 class at the Round 1 of the China GT Championship 2019 in Tianjin. 首先，让我们有请本场的车队冠军，来自于 FIS Team AAI, the winning team of the class, FIS Team AAI. 有请本场第3名车手组合来自于 D2 车队廖阳。The second runner-up goes to from D2 Racing 廖阳。有请本场第2名车手组合来自于 YC 车队闵恒和林楠。The first runner-up goes to from YC Racing 闵恒 and 林楠。有请本场冠军车队来自于胜利车队韩寒和 Joseph Osborne. The champion is from the winning team, Han Han and Joseph Osborne. 有请我们的最快圈速获得者来，同样，是 Joseph Osborne from FIS Team AAI. 有请我们本场的颁奖嘉宾来自于米其林亚太赛事总监马奔先生。Let's welcome the prisoner to award top 3 place getters, Michelin Asia Pacific Motorsport Director, Mr. Ma Ben. 好，恭喜，非常恭喜我们今天的获奖的车手。那请我们的颁奖嘉宾留在台前，与我们的获奖车手合影留念。好的，那么现在接下来就是我们车手的香槟的时间。Now is the champagne time. 接下来您将继续看到的是2019赛季中国超级跑车锦标赛天津站 GT3 PA 组第1回合的颁奖仪式。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of the GT3 PA class at the Round 1 of the China GT Championship 2019 Tianjin。首先，让我们有请本场的第3名车手组合，来自于 FCMAI Jess Crow 和 Betty Chen。The second runner-up goes to from FCMAI Jess Crow and Betty Chen。有请本场第2名车手组合，同样来自于 FCMAI Nick Yellowly 和林宇。The first runner-up goes to from FCMAI Nick Yellowly and 林宇。有请本场的冠军车手组合，来自于圣之队韩寒和 Joseph Osborne。The champion is from the winning team 韩寒 and Joseph Osborne。接下来，让我们有请本场的颁奖嘉宾，来自于北京瑞嘉罗餐饮管理有限公司粤咖啡创始人王虎先生。Let's welcome our president to the award top 3 place getters for Beijing Regalo Catering Management Company, the owner and the founder of Enjoy Your Coffee, Mr. Wang Hu. 请我们的颁奖嘉宾留在台前，与我们的获奖车手合影留念。好，请我们的车手们举起你们的奖杯。
one more picture, sorry. Is this not offensive? Can we do this for winning too?
好，那么接下来您将继续看到的是2019赛季中国超级跑车锦标赛天津站第1回合 GT3 绅士组的颁奖仪式。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of GT3 AM Class at the Round 1 of China GT Championship 2019 Tianjin。让我们有请本场的第2名车手组合，来自于 D2 车队廖阳。The first runner-up goes to from D2 Racing 廖阳。有请本场的冠军车手组合，来自于 YC Racing 闵恒和林楠。The champion is from YC Racing 闵恒 and 林楠。那接下来让我们有请本场的颁奖嘉宾，来自于台北丹斯亚洲区董事长何明玉女士。Let's welcome our president to Edward Top 3 Place Getters, the director of Cuban Dance Asia, Miss Wendy Ho. 好的，那么接下来留给我们车手的是，香槟的时间。Hello， 大家好呢，欢迎您继续回到我们2019赛季中国超级跑车锦标赛天津站 GTC 组第1回合的颁奖仪式。Now let's welcome the top 3 place getters and the winning team onto the podium. 有请本场的冠军车队来自于 YC Racing, the winning team of the class, YC Racing. 有请。有请本场的第3名车手组合来自于 Extreme Motorsport Dominic An 和宋波。The second runner-up goes through from Extreme Motorsport Dominic An and 宋波。有请本场第2名车手组合来自于 YC Racing 黄希展和王涛。The first runner-up goes through from YC Racing CJ Huang and 王涛。有请本场冠军车手组合，同样来自于 YC Racing 郑婉成和周碧煌。The champion is from YC Racing 郑婉成 and 周碧煌。有请我们的颁奖嘉宾，来自于米其林亚太赛事总监马奔先生。Let's welcome our president to Edward Top 3 Place Getters, Michelin Asia Pacific Motorsport Director, Mr. Ma Ben. 好的，感谢我们的颁奖嘉宾。那么接下来留给我们车手的是香槟的时间。Now is the champagne time. 那么接下来非常感谢您继续锁定我们的颁奖台。接下来我们将为您颁发的是，GTC 组 A 绅士组的第一回合的颁奖仪式。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of GTC AM Class at the Round 1 of China GT Championship 2019 Tianjin。首先，让我们有请本场的第3名车手组合，来自于 YCRT 李佳琦和肖敏。The second run-up goes to from YCRT 李佳琦 and 肖敏。有请本场的第2名车手组合，来自于 YC Racing 黄熙展和王涛。The first run-up goes to from YC Racing CJ Huang and Wang Tao。有请本场的冠军车手组合，同样来自于 YC Racing 郑婉成和周碧煌。The champion is from YC Racing 郑婉成 and 周碧煌。有请我们本场的颁奖嘉宾，来自于一嗨汽车租赁有限公司品牌营销总监王辉先生。Let's welcome our president to award top 3 place getters from E-Hi Car Service Branding Operation Director Murphy。好的，请我们的颁奖嘉宾留在台前，与我们的获奖车手合影留念。举起你们的奖杯。好的，那现在是香槟的时间，香槟 time。
好的，在这里祝贺我们的第一天的正赛，所有获得了 GT3、C 以及4三个组别的所有车手，今天能够在这样的天气条件下完成比赛。那同样呢，也希望我们的所有观众朋友们在明天的同一时间，早上9点40分早一点起来，观看我们在本周末天津国际赛车场的第2回合的正赛，即将会为您带来是 GT4组别的比拼。所以各位观众朋友们，咱们明天见。Okay, ladies and gentlemen, after the awarding ceremony, congratulations for all the drivers. Finish the race and get on the podium for GT3, GT4, and GTC category. Stay tuned with us, and tomorrow we still have one more race day to go, and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.